After losing the Super Bowl, the Chiefs are out to prove that they're going to be back yet again. With all eyes on Kansas City's offseason, the front office looks to retain and rebuild, hoping to show the rest of the league that their success isn't done just yet. What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Happy Tuesday. I'm Hayley Lewis, and this is Chiefs News Daily. Now, today, we're going to dive into the franchise tag that Kansas City placed on Trey Smith just a few days ago. What does it mean? What does it do to the salary cap? What is a realistic expectation of Smith? And could he be a Chief come July? We're going to talk through it all, but as always, first, like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel, and let's get this episode rolling. All right, today is the deadline for the NFL's franchise tag, which passed at 3 p.m. Kansas City time. Now, we already know that the Chiefs placed a non-exclusive franchise tag on starting right guard Trey Smith, which we're going to dive into in just a second after this. But on Monday, they made a small transaction as well. The Chiefs signed linebacker Blake Lynch. Now, Charles Goldman with A to Z Sports tweeted out that the Chiefs re-signed linebacker Blake Lynch, who spent just 8 days on the practice squad to end the 2024 regular season. Now, he was one of the lone standouts of the Week 18 disaster against the Broncos. That is putting it a little bit lightly. Now, Goldman continued to write in an article more news on this transaction, saying that Lynch originally signed with the practice squad on December 30th after a season-ending knee injury to linebacker Jack Cochran, leaving the team shorthanded at the position with Week 18's game against the Denver Broncos coming up. Now, he finished the Broncos game in Week 18 with 6 total tackles, including 2 stops and 1 tackle for loss, and allowed no targets in 4 coverage snaps, playing mostly at the Mike linebacker position. Now, that's pretty impressive for a guy who has never played in the Chiefs system, with just 3 days of practice to prep and play 47 total snaps, 25 on defense, 22 on special team. Now, Goldman points out why this transaction even matters and why we're even talking about it. It could be important because free agency madness is about to begin. So it's no wonder Kansas City is bringing him back, with linebacker Nick Bolton's future up in the air, linebacker Swayze Bozeman now in Chicago, and Cochran coming off, of course, the before-mentioned season-ending injury. All right, that out of the way, it's time to dive into Trey Smith, the tag, go through exactly what this means for both not only Smith and the Chiefs, but for you to understand it. Number one, let's go over exactly what the heck a franchise tag really is. CBS Sports explains that the franchise tag is a 1-year contract that guarantees a player a top salary according to his position. So any player tagged is effectively prevented from testing free agency without restriction, even if they do not sign the tag, although certain types of tags permit negotiations with other teams. So what are those types of tags? Well, there are 3 tags. You can get an exclusive tag, a non-exclusive tag, and a transition tag. Now, Smith was tagged with that non-exclusive tag, so that's what we're going to dive into. So CBS Sports says that non-exclusive franchise tags are a tag that also guarantees the player a 1-year salary equivalent to the average of the top 5 salaries at the player's position, or 120% of his previous salary. So it's just like the exclusive tag, except for here's where it's going to differ. It does permit the tag player to receive contract offers from other teams. However, the original team, like the Chiefs, have the right to match any offer and must receive 2 first-round draft picks from the acquiring team if the player departs. So basically, that's the difference between the exclusive and the non-exclusive. So essentially, Smith can speak with other teams, but the Chiefs have the right to match any of those offers. Now, Smith does have the right to not sign the tag. He can actually choose to negotiate with the Chiefs for another contract, most likely a long-term deal, which is what we're expecting, instead of playing under the tag for just 1 year. So CBS Sports explains that they can choose not to sign the tag as a means of prolonging negotiations, we've seen this all the time, with their team for a different contract. Now, unless the tag is rescinded by the team or the 2 sides reach a separate agreement, however, the player can only take the field the next season, so in 2025, by eventually signing the tag. So can tag players also be signed to a long-term deal? Yes, well, it's tag players, regardless of whether the player signs that tag. The player and his team have until 4 p.m. Eastern time on July 15th to reach an agreement on a replacement long-term contract. So if that deadline comes and goes, the player's only option for playing the next season is to sign the tag or have it rescinded by the team, essentially making the player an unrestricted free agent. Now, we've seen that happen going all the way down to training camp. So this also leaves the door open for a trade as well, which we saw happen last year. Tag players can be traded. So sometimes teams will use the tag as a means of delaying a longer-term decision on a player. And if the 2 sides aren't in agreement on a short-term or a long-term contract, the team can trade a tag player as long as said player agrees to sign the tag as a part of the deal. So just like we saw last season, The Chiefs tagged L'Jarius Sneed, and then they traded him to the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Athletic's Nate Taylor makes a really good point here. What the difference is between tagging Smith and tagging Sneed. He tweeted out, unlike last year with L'Jarius Sneed, the Chiefs are tagging Smith with the intentions of signing him to a multi-year contract. So now that I've covered all the bases, what does it even mean? Well, for one, Smith automatically becomes the highest paid guard in the NFL at just 25 years old if he signs the tag. The Chiefs are now obligated to offer Smith a one-year contract worth $23.4 million due to that tag. So that's pretty cool for him. Now, secondly, if Smith chooses to negotiate with other NFL teams and Kansas City does not choose to match, they would receive that draft compensation we talked about earlier, equivalent to 2 first-round draft picks from the signing team. Now, lastly, think of this tag as a Band-Aid. It pretty much just buys the Chiefs time to allow them to find a short-term solution. The team, again, has that deadline of July 15th to figure out a long-term deal with Smith. So what do experts have to say about this tag? Well, former NFL QB Chase Daniel actually talked about this on Twitter, why players hate getting tagged. Now, in this video, he uses Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins' situation to sort of explain.
Why do NFL players hate franchise tags? Well, first-round picks, you cannot get to free agency. And what is free agency? Free agency is making money. And when you can't make money and you're held back from the free market, okay, like T has been one, you play in a 1-year fully guaranteed deal. Okay, right now it's 26 and some change. He's worth probably 30 a year. If he decides to play on the franchise tag again, okay, what happens if he gets hurt? Okay, the long-term security and the long-term money is not coming. This is why he wants to get a $90 million guaranteed contract. Everyone needs to keep this in context. Okay, I'm not talking about a normal job. I'm talking about the NFL where you have outplayed your potential. And I think that's the problem here with T. Higgins is, look, man, I want a long-term deal. Exactly what you promised me last year. I'm going to tag you, and then I'm going to try to do a long-term deal. There's just no way that he wants to keep doing these 1-year deals. It's a very risky thing. Now, people are saying, why doesn't the union collectively bargain to get rid of the franchise tag? They've tried it. It affects 6 to 8 players a year. There's collectively around 2,100 to 2,200 current NFL players, and it only affects 6 to 8. That's why the franchise tag will always exist. That's why the union doesn't collectively bargain with the NFL to get rid of it. Look, it's a way for teams to keep good players from getting to the free market. What does every single player want? They want a chance to get to the free market and make the most amount of money that you possibly can.
All right, tomorrow we're going to dive more into Travis Kelce returning for his 13th season, how his salary factors into Kansas City's budgeting strain. Remember, teams have until March 12th. That is the start of the new league year. They have to make sure they are under the new salary cap, which is $279.2 million. Currently, the Chiefs are estimated to be roughly $17 million over after tagging Smith. So if teams don't get under that cap by March 12th, they can actually be fined upwards of $5 million for each infraction. In more serious cases, they could even have draft picks taken away or even have players' contracts voided. So before tagging Smith, the Chiefs were projected to have roughly $7 to $8 million in space. Now, if both parties come to terms on a long-term deal, the cap hit would go from that range of $23.4 million back down to maybe around a $7 million cap hit. Again, it's estimated. These are kind of just educated guesses based off of previous deals and negotiations. Truthfully, I hate to tell you, Chiefs fans, really the only thing that we can do is sit and wait and be patient. The Chiefs side have expressed that they want to come to terms on a long-term deal. Smith obviously loves being alongside his teammates. We'll just have to wait and see how things transpire. All right, folks, that does it for another episode of Chiefs News Daily. As always, we'll be back again tomorrow. Like I said, we're going to talk through Travis Kelce, some more of those salary cap issues for the Chiefs, and free agency is upon us in a matter of a couple of days. In the meantime, like and subscribe right here on the KCSN YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you back here on Wednesday.